Now back to Morningline. Here's Steve Helms.
And welcome back, folks. Thank you for joining us on this Thursday, May 26th. And we are very honored to have with us a guest today, and John Brunner. He is candidate for governor. Good morning, sir, and thank you for joining us today.
Well, good morning. Good to be with everybody. You know, I'm telling folks all across the state, we can take our country back one state at a time. It begins right here in Missouri.
And I think I would agree. A lot of people are beginning to realize that the mess that is in Washington, D.C., if we could just right that aspect of getting the states to have the power that they should have back, it might do a lot to fix our problems.
It is so true. I mean, everyone obviously is distracted, and maybe for the right reasons on the presidential race. We just hope we get the right president in, we get everything fixed. But, you know, we know that our founding fathers were, in their wisdom, was a collection of states, and the power should be reserved to the state. The 10th Amendment it says that anything explicitly not stated in our Constitution is reserved for the states. We need strong governors, strong attorney generals. That's why I'm running in this office here for governor of Missouri. We need an outsider, a business guy, a Marine, a person of faith to step in here and take our state back, first of all, and fight back against the federal government and all the intrusions that are coming in every single day.
Well, you answered one of the two questions I was going to ask, why are you running? But tell us a little bit, if you would, about yourself, because some of our listeners may not know who you are that much at this point in the campaign.
Well, I look forward to this. You know, I was very, very fortunate here to have had an opportunity to serve as a United States Marine Corps Infantry Platoon Commander. This was during the Vietnam era. I wasn't sent to Vietnam, but I had a rifle platoon, served in the Mediterranean, East Coast, West Coast, North Atlantic, continued to extend my tours of duty here. I found a really good home, I guess, with the Marines, and felt I was doing my job as when I raised my hand to defend the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. I knew this was a fight that was going to last a lifetime. My dad kept calling and says, John, we need help with a family business, a business started by my grandfather back in 1908. And so my wife and I, we packed up our Chevy, came back to Missouri, and it was a disaster. It's a little company that was making personal care products, shampoo, mouthwash, rubbing alcohol, and peroxide. Well, she worked on the production line. I was a mechanic. We did everything that you have to do in a small business. We turned that around, and over the years, we created thousands of jobs, brought billions of dollars of business back to Missouri. But through that whole time, I grew up as a strong constitutional conservative. My first campaign was with Barry Goldwater in 1964. I was in 7th grade going door to door, handing out Phyllis Schlafly's book, and I've been in the fight ever since. And also, I've always been involved in church and church activities. I met my wife when she was 15. I was 17 in the church youth group camp. We'll be married 40 years next month. We have 11 grandchildren, and number 12's on the way next month as well. So,
all right.
Well, a lot to be grateful for, but we got a fight on our hands, and we need citizens to get involved and volunteer. And I think a lot of people are waking up and hopefully charging to the polling places here this August the 2nd.
Well, there's definitely a lot to do, and if you're a Republican, I think what we really want is for a Republican governor, because there's so much legislation that we just can't get across the line. You've talked with hundreds, maybe even thousands of people as you've been campaigning. What is the number one issue that you hear most people talking to you about?
Well, the number one issue is our economy. Missouri is 47th. We're losing jobs. Businesses are shutting down. We lost a big company down there in the Boot Hill. I was, of course, in Springfield here a couple weeks ago. Well, I've been in Springfield 27 times, by the way. A company, 300 people shutting down. And, you know, Missouri is not a welcome home for business state. I want to bring the business back. I'm the only person running for governor who's been in business 35 years. I understand what it's like. I don't need talking points. I've been there. And it is about the regulations of the legal environment, that we need tort reform. We need to rebuild our roads and bridges. We need a business guy. So the number one issue that people come back to me and they say, John, we just need a business guy involved running this state. But at the same time, and I tell folks, this is where the whole Donald Trump thing is coming from. They want that outsider, that business guy. Okay, I get that. I've been in business all my life. But they also want a constitutional conservative, a person of faith. You know, similar to the Ted Cruz support that he's had in this state. And so you don't have to compromise as a governor. I have deep constitutional roots and values. I've been, as I said, been involved in a church, been involved in missions around the world, building churches from Missouri to Zimbabwe. So it's a combination that you need to pull together to get the state back on track. And folks, I want to warn you who are listening here, everyone says, well, we just need a Republican governor. Well, we've had a lot of R's. We've had a lot of Republican presidents. It hasn't worked out for us. We need the right kind of person, an independent kind of person. I tell folks, I'm not looking for a political career. I'm not jump-starting a political career. I've already had a career. I don't need this job, but there's a job to do. And I tell folks I can't be bought. And this is the kind of mindset and values that can come into the state and turn it around if folks will join together here and get behind John Brunner for governor. And we really can, as I said in my opening remarks, take this country back right here in Missouri.
Well, Mr. Brunner, we appreciate you coming on, and we're going to take a quick break. But while we're on that break, you brought up roads and bridges and some of the things that we need to do as an economy. Are there some ideas that you might have to help solve that one? It's a big problem, folks. How are we going to fund transportation issues? Thank you for joining us. With us today, we have candidate for governor John Brunner. Thank you, sir, again for joining us.
Good to be back. We have tremendous problems and issues, but these are fixable. It doesn't need to be this way. It is difficult running for office. It's really hard. I understand why good people don't get involved, but I'm looking forward to serving the folks as governor of this state and getting the job done and then getting back home.
You had brought up earlier about one of the important things that we face are transportation, roads, and bridges. How we fund that is, I think, what a lot of people are wondering about. Do you have any thoughts or ideas that you would like to put forward on that issue?
Exactly. First of all, it starts with a vision. You have to understand what is going to drive the economy in this state. And Missouri can be the distribution hub of America. We're obviously the center of America. My grandfather came here over 100 years ago understanding if you have a business in Missouri, you can ship to half of America in one day, the rest of America in 2 days. Great for distribution for our agricultural products, our manufactured products. So it starts with a vision, the hub of America. But if the hub is broken here, we got to fix it. And our roads and bridges are in bad shape. First of all, it's going to take a business person who's done this in terms of asset management, long-term planning, and the vision here. And as a business guy, the first thing I'm looking at is efficiencies in our state government. And I'm absolutely guaranteed sure that we can find efficiencies in our government because we haven't had a business guy as governor for over 90 years. So I've targeted a 3.8% savings. And I'm not talking about cutting jobs or people or all that. I'm looking at efficiencies. That delivers $1 billion. That's a pretty good jump start to get our roads and bridges done. The next issue is that we want to set up a mandated funding structure so that as Missouri's economy grows, we can take 20% or whatever the correct number is of the increase in revenues and pour that back into roads and bridges. And the third issue I have here is we've dedicated 7.9% of our total budget for roads and bridges. Is that enough? I don't think so, and we're going to look into that, and we need to reset our priorities because if we rebuild our hub and infrastructure here, we will attract businesses, we'll be getting our products to market, people will want to move here to get the job done. I mean, obviously, that's just one key focus. We can get the job done. It'll take a business guy to do that. You know, the other issue, and I thought it was really important, you brought up a point, we need a Republican as a governor, but we need a Republican to win against our Attorney General. Between our Attorney General and Jay Nixon, both these guys have served over 50 years. But the Republican candidate for governor is going to be up against a very, very well-funded, entrenched politician here. That he has already $6 or $7 million, and when our primary is over on August the 2nd, we'll be facing a very tough competitor. But here's how we win. I want to tell your listeners we got to win, and we're going to win with a compelling contrast. And we have to have a contrast to win. We'll have a trial lawyer who kills jobs against a business guy, John Brunner, that creates jobs. We'll have a liberal insider, Chris Koster's been a political flip-flopper, against a conservative outsider. And will have a politician versus a Marine. So the businessman, conservative outsider, U.S. Marine veteran, that combination will attract independent votes, attract some Democrat votes, and obviously the Republican votes. And that's how we win. We sometimes just look for the R. If we just get an R, it'll be better. Of course, an R will be better than a D. But sometimes those darn R's just can't win elections.
Now, Mr. Brunner, you've run for office once before, and how is this race different or maybe the same of what you faced in the past? And again, your background is business. I think everyone knows that for sure, and you've been very successful. But in the realm of politics, sometimes there's different challenges that you face.
That's a great question. And, of course, I ran in the U.S. Senate here back in 2012, and I learned a lot of lessons. And I've took those lessons learned and brought it here into this governor's race. Of course, one of the issues that came in that 2012 race, we were ahead almost by 20 points. And Harry Reid and Claire McCaskill, the Democrat Party, brought $3 million into our Republican primary, attacked us from the flank, helped one of the Republican competitors, the one they wanted to help. And, of course, the rest is history. We lost that Senate race. We lost other Senate races. And it trickled all the way through to the presidential race. So this time, going forward, I've reinstituted some sound business practices. We've had good database of information. We have tremendous training and great resources, tremendous volunteers, a good ground game. I mean, I tell you, folks, and I've lost many things in business, many challenges, and what do you do when you lose? Well, you either can crawl away or you get back up and keep fighting. And I did that in my business. We were able to turn that business around and make it largest in our industry. We came against the largest competitors, multi-billion-dollar competitors, and won. So in this race for governor, it is a different race this time. And, of course, there's a different time here. People talk about different times in terms of political races. This is the year of the outsider. I mean, who would have ever guessed a guy like Donald Trump would have made it to be the presumptive Republican nominee? But people are fed up. They're tired. Anybody who's been in elected office for a long time is at risk. So this is a great opportunity where I took the lessons learned from the Senate race. All you folks who voted for me last time, everybody's coming up and say, John, I'm still with you. You're in the fight. I appreciate your support. This time, bring your neighbor with you. It takes just a small percentage to win this primary, and if we win the primary, folks, we're going to win the general election.
Well, I would agree that, or maybe say that, when you have a setback or a loss, you learn far more from your victory in life, and I think it transcends, politics, business, anything, because when you win something, you just are saying, oh yes, everything I did, that was, that obviously that's what caused me to win. But when you lose, you really have to look and evaluate. At least, hopefully, that's what you do. And so I would agree, and maybe those lessons learned will help your race out quite a bit. Looking forward, economics is a major thing. What would you say the second issue on folks' minds are out there?
The second issue is definitely our schools here. Now, there are some good school districts and they can do it going well, but across the state there's a lot of schools that are struggling and a lot of frustration. I talk to superintendents across the state. They come back with one word. They said, John, we need flexibility, and we need to make this funding of the schools where the money goes back to the classroom and not administration, not this top-down. Stop being run by Washington, D.C., stop being run by Jefferson City. Give the teachers the resources and flexibility to teach. Put the power back to the school boards and the parents. This is what's absolutely critical. I learned this in my business. Some of the best ideas came on the plant floor, the manufacturing floor. And it's always on the front lines here where the real work is being done. We have great dedicated teachers. But, the starting salaries for teachers in Missouri, we're number 46 in the nation. Now, come on, give me a break. What kind of support are we talking about in terms of our kids and our future? My grandmother was a teacher. My mother was a teacher. My daughter was a teacher. We can get these schools back on track, get rid of Common Core, get rid of the top-down, get the flexibility back in. I talked to a superintendent in the Seymour School District. He said, John, I have 15 different funds that come in, all with restrictions, and I have gaps and overlaps. He said, if I just had the flexibility, we could get the job done. So here I'm going to take my business skills and experiences that I've had all my life, or organizational skills from the Marine Corps, leadership skills, and we'll get these schools turned around, and we'll bring the power back to the parents and back to the local level. There's too many people out there that think they have all the answers. The top down. I'm a bottom up kind of a guy. Get the power to the people. It's we the people. Whether it's kicking the federal regulators back across the Potomac where they belong, and standing strong with our 10th Amendment rights, with our Second Amendment rights, and who would have ever thought that our First Amendment right would be challenged in freedom of religion? It's going to take somebody who has no goals, no other aspirations than to take the core values that I have learned my entire life and the leadership principles I've learned, as you mentioned earlier, those times when you've been knocked down and challenged and had to get back up and fight again, put that all together. I'm not doing this for myself, my friends. I don't need a job, but I've been very blessed, and I feel very grateful that this is still America and that God has given me the experiences and talents and ability and resources to do something here in this great state. And my hope is that if we make a great turnaround here in Missouri, this will be an inspiration to other states and encourage other people to take back our freedoms and take back our civil liberties and get our country back on track. I believe we can be that bright and shining star right here in the heart of America.
Well, thank you, sir, for your time. We've got just a minute or two left, but if you would, just tell the listeners out there where they can go to get more information if they want to maybe sign up, get on board with your campaign. And, again, just another minute or two, let our listeners know what they can do to help.
Well, I appreciate it. It's johnbrunner.com, B-R-U-N-N-E-R, 2 N's, johnbrunner.com. We appreciate so much your support. Just check in on our webpage. We're on Facebook, social media, Twitter. We're engaged, but, don't underestimate, all of you who are listening, don't underestimate how important your vote is. You say, I'm only one vote, just one vote. No, you have 10 friends, 15 friends, 20 friends. Check my webpage out, get informed, maybe volunteer, help out, ask for a yard sign, a bumper sticker. I can't tell you, putting a bumper sticker on your car will give people a chance to engage with you, ask a question, what do you know? And all you need to tell is, hey, I'm for the U.S. Marine, I'm for the business guy, I'm for the guy who's a constitutional conservative, I'm for a guy of faith. And in the Marine Corps, we were challenged to lead, follow, or get out of the way. And folks, I'm ready to lead. I need your prayers and your support. We need to appeal to heaven. These are tough times, and I always tell folks, may God continue to shed his grace and mercy on America. God's blessed our country, but we need his continued grace and mercy. We have an opportunity this election year. If we come together, if people of faith, if constitutional conservatives, hardworking folks all come together here, we can get this governor's race won with John Brunner there. I'm going to do everything I can for you. I'm going to fight for the folks that are working in the farms, on the plant floors, in the retail stores. I'm going to help our kids, and we're going to have a lot of good things happen. This is going to be a great year for Missouri starting in 2017.
Well, thank you, sir, for your time, and we'll welcome you back in studio here before the election happens.
Look forward to it, and appreciate it. Don't get discouraged out there, folks. There's a lot of challenges here, but we also have a lot of opportunity. We still have that freedom here, and I appreciate your vote. I ask for your vote, John Brunner for governor, and thank you very much. It's great to be on your show today. Appreciate it so much, Steve.
You're very welcome. And, folks, again, that was John Brunner, candidate for governor of Missouri, and we will be right back after these messages.